writing and writing and writing all the time. It was when I went to university, and I was about 21 or something like that, because I left school with no qualifications, got loads of factory jobs and on building sites and that, but I was always writing, and I went to some creative writing workshops at the local library, and the guy that was running them said that your work's really original and you should do something with it, and I was going like, well, like what? He said, well, apply to do a degree. This was in 89, so there wasn't that many of them around at that point, but he told me about one in Crewe now, College of Higher Education, and so he encouraged me to apply, and they offered me a place. So I was working on this building site, getting bricks thrown at me by these maniacs, and then a month later I was studying Wagnerian opera and the history of ballet, Bertolt Brecht, and suddenly I realised I wasn't as stupid as I've been led to believe most of my life. And that's where I was exposed to poetry, American beats and E. Cummings, and sometimes thinking that's not what I thought poetry was.
Yeah. So who would you say are some poets that have like inspired you, or maybe even like influenced some of the stuff you've done?
Yeah, I mean I really like Ken Smith and the work he's done on bringing to life historical personages. I like Brendan Kennelly, the way he did Cromwell, his book on Cromwell, which is pan-historical.
So would you say they've more like inspired you, or maybe more influenced you? Influenced the stuff you've done?
Yeah, it inspired me really.
Inspired more, yeah.
Inspired me, yeah.
What would you say is like a poem, or just like a piece of work in general that you feel like everyone should read in their lifetime?
I think they should read Star Apple Kingdom by Derek Walcott.
Okay, that's something I've got to read now as well.
It's really brilliant.
So, in a sentence, or just even a couple of words, if you can, what would you say makes a great poet?
Writing and writing and writing all the time, because most of what you write is just compost.
Yeah.
It's just composting stuff, and every now and again you'll grow a flower, but you've got to write.
Just write.
And read ferociously.
Just write and read, repeated 100 times.
And read widely, not just contemporary poetry, but stuff from the Romantics, from the Augustans, and the early modernists, and try and see the timeline of thought and how poetry as an aesthetic discipline has evolved, really.
Yeah. Now, speaking of reading, your performances aren't just readings, you've got music and singing and the like. What was the thought process behind that? How did that sort of start?
Well, it started really when I went to do my degree in Crewe College, because when I got there I realised that it wasn't just a creative writing degree that I was doing, it was creative arts, and I was specialising in creative writing. So you are encouraged, and part of some modules were about collaboration across art forms, so I was working with dancers and dramatists and musicians and painters and filmmakers, and you had to do projects together.
And kind of all come together as well.
Yeah, and then you looked at the theory of it and a more integrated approach to art. And then I really enjoyed that and saw that it could reach audiences that have a preconception about poetry and change their attitudes towards it. But really it's just going back to pre-Enlightenment ideas of poetry, really, because poetry was always an oral tradition.
Yeah.
And spoken, and in ancient Greek it'd be accompanied by musicians.
Now, like obviously their performances perfectly in their own right, but have you ever considered doing it as like a full-scale theatre production, or maybe trying to see if you could do them as a film?
I'd love to. I mean, it's a challenge because to some extent it would take away from. It's always a compromise, isn't it? But if you're doing a film, people watch that rather than listening to the words. Maybe so there's a relationship behind. But I would really like to experiment with that more.
So there's the potential that could be coming soon. Then.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll be on the lookout for that one. So as you mentioned before, I reviewed your event last year. I was at your event last year. And in response to my review, you mentioned like an intention to articulate sort of like a primal experience.
Yeah.
Would you say that was a similar intention with this performance, or were you trying sort of another subliminal sort of intention?
I think it's in there. I think it is in this piece as well, but not to the same degree.
Right.
Because this one is trying to jump backwards and forwards between 17th century, early modern thought, the transition from kind of fanatical religious thought into logic and the scientific method and all this sort of, and then more Enlightenment thought, but also relating it to the politics and cultural milieu that we're living in at the moment, in the crazy world that we are in.
Yeah.
So, like the 17th century Civil War period in the Commonwealth, often called the world turned upside down.
Well, speaking of the issues like that, like even the event description says it's to do, parallels of fake news and the like. How important do you feel topics like that are to address, especially in the crazy world we live in today?
Yeah, well, I think all art forms should be addressing it to some degree and questioning it.
Maybe like reminding people that this is a thing and this is a way we can express it, but reminding you that it's out there, it's happening.
Yeah, it's out there happening, and look at the historical roots of propaganda and things like that. The broadsheets from the mid 17th century, and a lot of that was fake news.
It's always been around. Would you say there's any topics or even like a type of poem you'd never consider doing, you just never would want to perform it?
Well, there's certain poems that I've written that I don't perform, because
Right.
I think they're just page poems that look better on read.
Yeah, okay.
So I think there is a difference between writing for a performance and writing for the page, although both should. And some poems I write for the page, and then by doing this kind of thing, I revise them because I become more familiar with them, and the performances and the recordings help me get inside the character's head more, and that allows me to rewrite it. So it's an interesting relationship between who you write for the page and writing for the stage. Sometimes I think sometimes they can complement each other, but appear separately.
Yeah.
They feed each other, but appear separately.
So you would be, like, regardless of whether it's written or performed, you would be open to just doing any form of poetry then? There's none that you just think, no, I just don't want to do that one. Like
Poems that I've read.
Or like types of poems, so like you like, for example, you might never say, I'm never going to touch a haiku, I'm never going to do that.
No, I don't. I'm open to them all.
Yeah.
I like writing haikus. I even use rhyming couplets sometimes. Rare.
Yeah. When it comes to like writing itself then, sort of what's your kind of creative process behind it? Like, how do you sort of go about that? Like, for example, even, let's say if it was a haiku, for example, could you do a poem right here, right now about this situation?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah? Now I want to hear that. I've got to hear that now. Put you on the spot with this one.
Black beams over my head. Black beams over my head. Black beams above. Post-performance nerves. Heart slowing down.
Nice. It's copyright, that's yours. No one else can have that. And then...
It's just looking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that's what I try and do with all my poems. It's like, look for external reference, look for an internal reference, and look for the context, whether that's social or historical or whatever.
Would you say that's quite a good structure to approach when it comes to a poem then? Or is that working more for you personally?
No, it just works for me personally.
Yeah.
I think that, but maybe subconsciously I do that.
And then finally, I don't know where the time's gone, it's October already. What's sort of the future looking like for you, sort of the rest of this year and then sort of beyond into 2019?
Well, I want to put an Arts Council bid in to take this show on a national tour.
Yeah.
Do it like in interesting places that have connections to the Civil War, like Oxford and Bristol and London, and there's maybe the Imperial War Museum and Newark. There's a Civil War, National Civil War Centre in Newark. There's a Diggers Festival in Wigan that happens, and so it will suit that. And so there's lots of different places I want to take it, but I need to apply for some money to
and then potentially even some short films are on their way as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Nice.
Hopefully.
Yeah, good. Well,
Is that alright?
yeah, good luck with that, and thank you very much.
Well,
That's
thank
a very
you
good
for your time.
performance.